And welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. Before we get into today's show, please do me a small favour. Make sure to drop a like on this video and be sure to subscribe if this is your first time watching. We are going to start the show off by talking about Viktor Gyökeres because we've had two big stories come out in the last 24 hours, one from David Ornstein and one from Fabrizio Romano, on whether Manchester United will sign the talented Sporting Lisbon player. But before we do that, I want to get your thoughts on Viktor Gyökeres. Should he be the person we go for? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. For me, he's the number one, 100%. I've said this multiple times on stream. Number one for me is Gyökeres. Number two is Osimhen. Number three, I'd go Hugo Ekitike. Number four, Jonathan David, and number five would be Liam Delap, in that order. So Gyökeres is number one, definitely. The reasons for this, I think he's proved himself at the top level, playing in the Champions League for Sporting Lisbon. I think he is the perfect age. He's someone with experience. He has played in the Premier League before as well. Yes, it was for Brighton, and it wasn't amazing, but that was a long time ago. It was at the beginning of his career. The point being, there wouldn't be any adaptation to a new country, a new lifestyle, because he's lived here before. He played for Coventry as well. He knows the English teams, do you know what I mean? Like, he's been to most of these grounds in the Premier League already. So it wouldn't be as much of an adjustment period. He would come in, probably feel settled pretty much straight away, working with the manager who he performed best under. And I just think it makes a lot of sense. And when you look at his stats for this season, he's got 6 goals in the Champions League in 8 matches, which is decent. And he's got 30 goals and 7 assists in 26 Portuguese league matches. I mean, make whatever you will of the Portuguese league. That's still impressive stats. You know, we can't turn away from that. And his record for Sporting Lisbon is quite frankly incredible, averaging a goal or an assist in more than one goal or an assist in every single game that he's played. He's got, in 92 matches for Sporting Lisbon, he's got 111 goals and assists, which is crazy. So yeah, I really, really like this guy. I think he would be a phenomenal signing. Obviously scored a hat-trick against Man City, didn't he, in the Champions League a couple before Ruben Amorim left Sporting Lisbon. I think he'd be a perfect signing. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me quickly read out the two stories that have come out this morning. So the first one is from Fabrizio Romano, and he is reporting this morning that Manchester United appreciate Viktor Gyökeres. Amorim is a massive fan. He's one of the top names on the list. He says, we have to see what United will approve in relation to the budget and how much they're able to spend. So Manchester United are clearly exploring the option of Viktor Gyökeres, which I think obviously makes a lot of sense. I just think we should be going all out for him, really. We've obviously got a good relationship with Sporting. It should be a deal that we're already working on. I don't buy into this whole he's going to be 27 this year rubbish. That's what we need. We need experience. At the moment, we don't have experience. At the moment, we're putting all of the pressure for our goal needs on Garnacho, who is 20, Ahmad, who's 22, and Højlund, who's 22. You know, we don't have any experience in that front line. Even Joshua Zirkzee, I think, is 22. There isn't an experienced striker in our team, not one. Obviously, Rashford is experienced, I guess, but he's going to leave. Do you know what I mean? There isn't any experience in that front line at all, really. And Mason Mount's injured all the time, and Bruno Fernandes plays deeper. So we desperately need to get some more experience in that team. And I think the fact that Gyökeres is 27, that doesn't bother me. But we obviously know what Ineos are like. Ineos are looking at it like, if we sign Gyökeres now, there's no resale value. And the thing that they care the most about is resale value, which I don't like. I'm going to say from the off, I don't like that. I don't like the fact that their transfer policy is just, let's bring in young players who hopefully we can then sell in the future for more money. I don't appreciate that. I think that that's a little bit narrow-minded, and I think, it's all good and well doing that, but what do you want to become? Do you want to become Brighton, or do you want to challenge Man City? Obviously it is important to not just constantly overpay on players that underperform. I get that completely, 100%. But at the same time, I think we do need to get some experience in that team. And at the moment, we don't have that. So, yeah, I personally think If Gyökeres was a viable option, I think he's definitely somebody we should be going for. Let's read out the story from David Ornstein, because he's been talking about this as well. The David Ornstein story is not as positive for Manchester United, unfortunately. He is reporting this morning that Arsenal are now developing a strong interest in Gyökeres as possible striker for the summer. He says that Andrea Berta, I think is the sporting director at Arsenal, firm admirer of Gyökeres, expected to figure prominently amongst Arsenal's options, probably a more realistic option than Isak. Says Arsenal developing strong interest in Viktor Gyökeres as they consider striker targets. There's going to be competition, we know that. You would hope that Gyökeres would look at the situation at Manchester United and say, you know what, I've worked with Ruben Amorim before, I saw what he did at Sporting Lisbon, let's give it a go, you know? But then at the same time, we're not going to have Champions League probably, and we are, in a footballing perspective, the worst we've ever been in Premier League history, realistically, in modern Premier League history. Obviously, when it was the first division, obviously I know we were awful at points, but in modern Premier League history, which is like the last 20 years, we are the worst we've ever been, and that's a fact. There's no argument about it, really. So yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how this does kind of materialize, but I honestly do think if we want to do this deal, we could get it done. I think. Maybe I'm being naive. Maybe I'm being a little bit too positive about it. I just think that, you know, when you've got a player who performed his best under a certain manager, like surely you have a bit of an advantage there. In relation to transfer fee, let's talk about that really, really quickly. So in relation to the fee, obviously Gyökeres has a release clause, which makes the deal a lot more easy to do. So obviously, usually you have to spend months and months negotiating back and forth. But Gyökeres does have a release clause, and it is quite a lot, to be fair. His release clause is... Let me just confirm it quickly. Let's have a look. So Gyökeres' release clause is apparently 100 million euros, which is 83 million pounds. The story does say that apparently Sporting would be willing to accept about 62 to 70 million pounds. So 100 million release clause, Sporting willing to accept 75 to 85 million euros. I mean, I would take him for that amount of money. I think he's literally the player we need. You have two options. You either spend 80 million euros on Hugo Ekitike, who could literally just disappear into, you know, could not perform to what we need him to be. Or you go for a little bit more of an experienced option in Gyökeres. But again, I'd be interested to see what you guys think. Welcome to Dang Sham, who's just joined the Members Club. Thank you very much for getting involved. How is everybody doing today, by the way? Welcome all the mods as well. I hope you're all doing good. The Golden Hot Dog says, I'd be signing Jonathan David regardless of who we sign. We need squad depth. I would agree with you there, mate. I think Jonathan David is 100% essential. When I gave you my, priority list, that was if I could only have one player. I would go for Gyökeres, then Osimhen, then Hugo Ekitike, then Jonathan David, then Liam Delap. But I personally, I personally think that we should be getting, we should definitely be getting Jonathan David as well as another striker, I think. Because obviously there's massive question marks about Højlund. I want Højlund to succeed, I really do, but there is huge question marks around him, which I think needs to be addressed, really. Would you all agree that there's question marks around I can't get his name out. Brain's gone. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, but let me know what you guys all think about all this. Like, who should we be going for? Is it Jonathan David? Is it Liam Delap? Is it Osimhen? Is it Hugo Ekitike? Like, who would be your priority target this summer? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I would be very, very happy with Gyökeres, but whether we're or not we're able to get him, that's a whole nother question for another day, isn't it? But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'm always interested to see what other Manchester United fans have to say. So yeah, let's move on from that one though. Let's move on to Bruno Fernandes, shall we? So there's a big story that broke yesterday about apparently Real Madrid wanting Bruno Fernandes. Now, I'm not sure how much of this I believe. I do like Bruno Fernandes. I'm not sure whether... I don't know. Bruno Fernandes is such a difficult conversation to have, isn't it? I don't know. I know there's a lot of people who don't like Bruno Fernandes because he loses the ball a lot. But then... it's difficult. What does everybody here think of Bruno Fernandes? He's clearly a talented player. We all know that. It's just whether the amount of times he gives the ball away outweighs his ability. I personally think he's our best player without a shadow of a doubt. Like, there's no conversation. There isn't any other player in our team who's on the level of Bruno Fernandes, realistically, in relation to stats, in relation to output, in relation to what he does on that pitch, okay? But I know a lot of people get frustrated with him. I know a lot of people don't like that he loses the ball constantly. I know a lot of people don't like that he is infuriating to watch at sometimes. I think that's probably a fair way to describe him. But he is special at the same time. It's like that weird balance where you've got somebody who is really, really talented, but you just ask yourself, like, I don't know. Everybody has an opinion on this one, and I'd obviously love to get you guys' opinions about Bruno Fernandes. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd be very interested to see. Let's have a look what people are saying. Sokar says, I think we'll struggle to replace Bruno Fernandes' output. But then on the other hand, you see somebody saying Bruno is holding us back. You know, it's difficult. Really difficult. I think, I don't know, it's so hard to predict, but I think as a team, we might potentially play better without Bruno Fernandes, but there's a massive risk. You might get rid of Bruno Fernandes, right? And then you might just be awful and you don't have anybody who's going to save you in games, and then you fall even further down the table. That's a strong possibility, I think. So, you know, it's easy for us to say, oh, Bruno loses the ball, Bruno does this, Bruno does that, and I get all of that. But at the same time, who else is going to get us goals? Who else is going to get us assists? I mean, you could argue that maybe he's taking all of the goals and assists and someone else would step up. I don't know. It's difficult. It's a difficult question. It's a really interesting topic to discuss. And as always, I want to get your thoughts. I want to get your opinions on this one. So let me know in the comment section what you think about Bruno Fernandes. Is he a problem? Is he a hindrance on this team? Or is he our only world-class player? Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll. All right, let's do a little poll and see what people think. Here we go. So the options are quite simple, really. So you have two options. Do you think he's world-class in our team, or do you think he's a problem? Do you think we'd be better without him? I just think that there's this whole narrative amongst some people that he is the problem, we'd be better without him. And I just think that there's no substance really behind that. Like, we weren't better before Bruno Fernandes came to Manchester United, were we? If you think about it. I think we finished, 8th under Van Gaal? 8th under David Moyes? Sorry, I think we finished in the top 4 under Van Gaal, but we finished 8th under David Moyes, definitely, didn't we? So, yeah. What I would say is this, though. If Real Madrid... all right, there's someone saying the poll is limited. He can be both. All right, let's redo the poll then. Let's do this. So what do you want me to write? Is Bruno a problem at United? Losing the ball, etc. All right, let's try that. That's a better question. Is Bruno Fernandes a problem at Manchester United? So what I mean by that is, does the way that he play individually, the way that he plays football individually, affect how the rest of the team play? That's the question. That's the narrative that some people have. I think, it's an easy narrative to have, but I think the likelihood is you get rid of Bruno and you probably get worse. So I would say no, he's not a problem. He would be a problem in a Manchester City side. If he went to Manchester City and he wasn't willing to just pass the ball 1,000 times before trying to shoot or get an assist, then I think he'd be a problem. Whereas we're not at that point yet. We don't really know what our style of play is. And at the moment, he's just saving us in games. So, yeah, I would say no, he's not. But I can understand the narrative. If you want to try and play like Manchester City football where you just keep the ball 80, 90% possession and you just bore people to death until you score, then yeah, he'd be a problem in that side because he's constantly trying things. And Manchester City aren't allowed to do that. Like Manchester City, the instructions from Pep are just keep the ball. Keep the ball. Don't give it to the opponent until you're in front of the goal and then score, And yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to say no. Right. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. Right. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Somebody says, I don't think he's the problem, but I don't think he's the solution either. Fair enough. Mark says it depends on the position he plays. Someone else says that he has saved us many times. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think to blame Bruno Fernandes is a little bit wayward when you look at our team and you think that we've got people like Dalot, Maguire, Luke Shaw, Mason Mount, Lindelof, Onana, Casemiro. Like all of these people are way bigger problems than Bruno Fernandes. I could probably name 10 players. If you got rid of all 10 of those players and signed 10 world-class players, and Bruno Fernandes didn't pass them the ball and was constantly giving it away, then maybe that's then becomes a problem. But at the moment, we are, 15th in the Premier League? Yeah, so I think it's a little bit wayward to say that he's the problem. But there are people out there who says that. Brad says his talent is unquestionable, but cash-in is a possibility with the way Ineos work. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. And from Bruno's perspective, if there is genuine interest from Real Madrid and teams like that, I would leave 100% if I was Bruno Fernandes. I would go. Because he's not going to win anything of any substance at Manchester United. And something really interesting was flagged to me yesterday. Bruno Fernandes has never won a league title in his career in any club. Not once. Didn't do it in Portugal, and he hasn't done it, obviously, with Man United. So, at the age of 30, to have never won a league is crazy. All he's ever won is the English League Cup, which is, let's be honest, kind of a nothing trophy these days, the Carabao Cup. And he won the Portuguese League Cup, and that's it. So, and the FA Cup, actually. So, yeah, if I was Bruno, I would be gone in a heartbeat if there was a genuine issue there. But anyway, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you very much for watching the show today. I hope you all have a lovely day, whatever you're doing. I will be back tomorrow morning it's a bit later now. Obviously, the clock's changed and it's kind of thrown me a bit. So it's probably going to be about 8:30 now. It's weird. Like my body clock, I started my video today at 8:30 and I usually start them at 7:30. Obviously, it's because the clocks have changed. So yeah, I'll be back live at about 8:30 tomorrow morning. Just because I'm waking up later because the clocks have changed pretty much. So yeah, have a good day, everybody. I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Don't forget to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.